to another Cleverdix podcast. In this podcast, we're talking to Jan Steenkamp. New Zealand swimmers might know Jan as the person who recently did a double crossing of Lake Taupo. He started life as a competitive swimmer, gave it up for a bit, and then decided to do some really big swims a little bit later in life. So this is the story of how he managed to do his double Taupo on his second attempt. It's a great story. As his wife says, it's bigger, better, Jan. Enjoy the story. Okay, welcome to another Cleverdix podcast. In this podcast, we're talking to Jan. Welcome, Jan.
Thanks.
Great. Well, as always, when we start off, we just give you a bit of an opportunity just to tell us your swim story, how you got into it, a little bit about yourself, and then we can sort of find out some of the crazy things you've done recently. So, what's your swim story, Jan?
Well, as some of you might know, I've just completed a double crossing of Taupo. I used to swim when I was younger, stopped when I was 18. From there on, didn't get back in the pool much at all. Did a bit of running. I think swimming sort of sets you up, aerobically for anything else you wanted to do. So I did a lot of other things in between. And then about 6 years ago, we moved to Manly and Whangaparoa. And a friend actually asked me to do a triathlon. And for the triathlon, you apparently have to swim a bit. And so I got back got in the water because I'm cheap. I didn't even get into a pool. I got into the ocean. Could only swim about maybe 100 meters at a time. And I would be stuffed. But that's where it started. And then there's a little swim group, triathlon group up on the coast. So I started joining in with them. Awesome bunch of people.
What are they called?
Yeah.
Little manly people.
Hibiscus Harriers and Triathlon Club, I think.
Yeah. I've heard of them.
Yes. So I started swimming there with them on Saturdays. And there's a couple of crazies out there as well that do a bit of open water swimming.
You stay in the right suburb, right? I mean, anybody that does an 80 kilometer swim, where do you live? Manly. That's cool. Yeah.
Never thought of it that way.
So when you said you swam a bit until you were 18, were you a competitive swimmer?
Yeah, so I was a competitive swimmer. I swam with Stephen Ferguson, Scott Talbot Cameron, Dean Kent. Never as good as them. I was always, I think, in the group lower than them.
Yeah.
But that was sort of my era, mid-90s, just after we moved to New Zealand. So swam competitively, but never got anywhere far. So it stopped soon after I went to university.
Yeah, that kind of happens to a lot of youngsters. If you see you're not going to make it up into the next level, then what's the point? You go and have a party and go back to uni and
how back to front is life. All of a sudden you get to middle age and you want to do all these crazy things. And why didn't I just do it when I was younger and was actually physically capable of doing it more than I would be able to now?
Yeah, that's so true. Absolutely true.
Yeah.
In fact, that's one of the things that I noticed moving to New Zealand was there's definitely a lot more movement and activity for the older guys.
Yeah.
Not that we're old, but like guys in their 70s and stuff like that. They're out there doing shit.
Yeah.
In South Africa, the guys are like playing bingo and stuff because you can't go outside. So that's very cool.
Every now and then someone says, you've got one of those big birthdays. You're going to go into the next age group. You're going to be awesome. Yeah. No, the same guys are waiting for me there.
Yeah. Okay, so what... So from you stepping through a triathlon, you obviously had a bit of a bug bite and you got into it a little bit more seriously?
Yeah, so the Westpac chopper swim came around, and that was the year that they organised it. But then you couldn't swim from Waiaki, and you had to organise your own swim.
Yes.
COVID. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we both did that.
Yeah, we did same year.
Yeah, and I mean, I was swimming a bit of open water, and I thought, man, I don't really get out of breath. Maybe this is something I can actually do, and so I organised my first chopper swim, and that was swimming from Arkles Bay around the peninsula to Stanmore Bay. So that would have been my first official open water swim, which you can't really count because at one stage I did hang onto a boat.
Okay. But still, your first swim was like just 20 Ks, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see where this is going. Yeah.
Hey, listen, and that was in it was in gale conditions that we started as well. I had 4 friends. They were on kayaks. We started with 2 kayaks. Around the corner out of Arkles, the first kayak went under, and an extra swimmer had to rescue those guys. So it was one of those swims. And then from there, Caitlin O'Reilly was doing Taupo. I think the same weekend actually as I organised that.
Yeah.
I think she did her Taupo double crossing, and I heard about that, and I thought, man, if a 17-year-old girl can do this, maybe I can. And man, that's one tough 17-year-old girl.
That is so true.
Way tougher than me.
No, it's tougher than me too.
She's now 21-year-old tougher
Yes.
than me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you looked at Caitlin and you thought, I can do that, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not going to bother with a single Taupo. I'll just switch straight into a double. Was that the thinking?
I'm not going to go swim from like Rainy to Mission Bay and do Ocean Swim Series, yeah. Let's do a double Taupo. Okay.
My wife has got a saying, big, better, young. It doesn't always work out very well, but, big, better, young.
Is your wife South African or Kiwi?
No, she's South African.
Okay. So that's what we're going to call this episode, right? Big, better, young. Okay. So then, I can remember we had a chat. We bumped into each other somewhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. How are you going to train? What's the plan, Jan?
Yeah. No, it's. I think it was at the. It was at Maringi Bay. There was that fundraising swim for Live Oceans.
Yes.
And there I sort of started chatting to all these legends, and I just sort of mentioned, I'm going to do a Taupo double crossing. I could sort of see on the looks of people's faces, this guy's never swum before. I think I pulled out at 20 Ks on that swim because I was so cold.
Yes, Jono was there, Nick Edwards was there.
Yes. Yeah. Brian was there in his wetsuit.
Yeah.
I think he got in the wetsuit.
Yeah.
Caitlin was there as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So I could see on these guys' faces, they're thinking, what's,
I can still remember that. You actually did struggle a little bit with a cold, eh?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Because it was like quite a dark. Yeah. Okay, so you went home from that thinking, hey, this is easy.
Yeah, no, I can't remember. I think I was too cold to think at that stage. Don't know what I was thinking at that stage. But yeah, then, I don't know anything about nutrition. I don't really know anything about training. I swim myself.
Yep.
So my idea of training was swim as much as I can.
Yep.
Doesn't matter if it's slow, just try and get to mileage. I heard somewhere somebody said, if you can swim in one go what you can swim in a week. So my goal was work up to 90 Ks. And I managed it once, and then I actually broke myself.
Yeah. That's normally sort of relevant up until a level.
Yeah.
Probably like 40 Ks a week or something, eh?
Yeah.
40, 50. Okay. That's a shitload of swimming, dude.
As I say, I was just, building up, kept getting sick, and then breaking down, keep going, kept getting sick, breaking down. I think at December, I got up to my 90K week. I hurt my shoulder.
Yeah.
And looking back, this was for the first attempt. I completely burnt out as well. Everything was downhill from there until I actually had my first attempt at Taupo.
So just too much too soon. I suppose even from a base perspective, from a swimming perspective, you didn't have a couple of years of real sort of mileage and all of that stuff in you to peak up.
Jump.
Yeah, okay. So, and that was all open water, or did you do a bit of pool in that?
in the end, I had to start doing pool. So a lot of it
find
was
enough
pool.
daylight hours.
Yeah, there's not enough daylight for family and everything. Yeah.
So you managed to stay married and employed through that section as well.
Well, there was a caveat. I had to redo the house before I could start that first training session on the inside, paint it and do a few renovations.
It's like a triathlon. It's part of the...
Yeah.
You're going to use both arms.
Wax on, wax off.
Well, that's the way that Brian does it. You know, he does a big thing, and then he's got like 2 years of penance.
Yes.
Yes. I suppose it's only fair, eh? And I guess just for your body to recover and all of that stuff, right? Yeah. Okay. So, talk us through the first attempt. Because that was still an amazing swim, right? I know you probably, in inverted commas, think it was a failure, but it was still a massive swim.
Yeah. No. Listen, that first swim, the whole idea was to see how far I could push myself. And I guess I went into all my swims like that. It was to see what I can do. And I knew that was right on my limits. So going into that first swim, I copied Caitlin again, raised funds for Westpac. That was the year of all the storms. So everything washed away. I missed 2 windows because of the storms.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, I thought I had to go swim no matter what. I thought there was a small weather window. We went for it. In hindsight, silliest thing I could have done.
Not a great window.
No, it was southwesterly. It was cold. We had proper swell and waves out there. So I definitely not a failure. I learned so much, and the team learned so much, because remember, my crew, they're not swimmers. They're all guys who've never done this before and jumped in behind me to support me.
So just for reference to the listeners, you managed to get through a regular inverted commas, Taupo crossing.
Yeah.
Had your 10 minutes on the beach.
Yeah.
Climbed back in the water, carried on swimming, and from what I remember, you stopped at about 50 k's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 10 k's back.
Okay. So talk to us about the guys that you've got on the water with you. What equipment did they have? You said none of them were swimmers. They were all mates.
Yeah, friends. I had Ali Boggs, who's a triathlete, ex-triathlete and coach. So she was one of my observers.
She knows her stuff, right?
Yeah. And then, but my friends, they're all new to the game.
They're still friends?
Better friends. We've got stories for the old age home now. It really gelled us even more. It was
so that first leg, that was at night?
No, so we started in the morning, because that was where we thought the window was going to sit in.
Okay, yep.
We started in rough weather and it never stopped. We started in the morning, and by the time we got to the other end at Braxmere Lodge, it was, I think, 9 o'clock at night. So then I still had to get back. I was getting out, I think, for 20 k's maybe to go, or maybe 15 k's to go. I was already telling myself I'm getting out at the other end. I've never been so cold in my life. I know other people are good with cold, and I don't mind the cold, but I've never been so cold for so long in my life. So I was ready to get out the other end. It took some real convincing to get me back. And a nice surprise on that other end was Brian was there. He was supporting somebody else with a swim the next day.
Yeah.
And Ali Williams. Ali gave me a good pep talk. Ali Boggs gave me a very good pep talk. Brian jumped in the water to come and get me, and I think take me in a little bit again. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Then we had a jet ski. We were using a jet ski, not an inflatable, as the feeder boat. It worked well until it didn't.
Overheating?
Sorry?
Overheating?
No, it sucked up debris. It sucked up debris, and that...
Just not good at going slow, I suppose.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, that was, in hindsight, it was going to be an issue.
It's a perfect jet ski for Jan, right? Just not good at going slow.
So it sucked in debris, and I think we lost it about 5 k's going back into the lake. So then I lost all my food because I was on the jet ski. The guys were floating in the middle of Lake Taupo, in Lake Taupo waiting for the Coast Guard to arrive.
So you had the jet ski and a bigger boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boat, yeah.
Okay, and obviously the bigger boat is just convenient, so it can't assist you.
But it's hard to get close to a swimmer, right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and they didn't have any feed on there. They were starting to feed me noodles and Coke.
Because everything was on the
jet ski.
Yeah.
It's a big jet ski.
So how long into that swim did you lose the jet ski?
Oh, within the first hour, I would say.
Really?
But I can't remember that I lost it. That's the funny thing. Looking back, I think I was trying to get a little bit out of it,
Yeah.
and I didn't realize. Well, it didn't click. The jet ski wasn't there anymore. It was the big boat feeding me.
Yeah.
And apparently, I was getting a bit grumpy. So because I had a light on my togs, on the back of my togs, I was supposed to put one on my cap as it got dark, and I told them no. So there was a few times I sat upright in the water, and they lost me in the rough water as well.
Yeah.
That's not ideal, eh?
Not ideal.
Okay.
Right.
So you made some notes.
Yeah.
So made some notes. Some people might have said my note is don't try that again, but not yet. Okay, then let's work out how to do it better next time, right?
Yeah, I've got a short memory. That helps. So it was unfinished business. I still thought I could do it. And it was just this thing that was eating at me. And I mean, I started thinking about it again. Took about another 4 or 5 months to build up the courage to tell my wife that we're going to try this again. And I was smart this time. We were friends at a waterfall and a pool. And I sort of just brought up the subject in general conversation, safety and numbers.
With other people
around.
around.
With other people around for safety. So there was a lot I changed on this one. So we went for better quality training. So not doing those high weeks. It was all between 40 and 50K a week with a little bit quicker work. A lot more flexibility training. I actually practiced my feeding plan properly, got some proper feeding stuff, some UCAN, some Morton, some shakes, tried that. The guys have now been through 2 semi-successful, maybe unsuccessful swims with me, so they knew what they were in for as well. Bought a little inflatable boat instead of a jet ski. So, lots we made little adjustments on.
So the fact that you've bought a little inflatable boat, to me, says there's some other swims coming, right? You've got to use this little boat now, right?
Listen, if you know me well enough, there was just not somebody I could borrow it off.
Oh, you didn't find the right people. Okay, so how long between the first and the second attempt?
That was 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So second attempt, same crew?
Same crew. Yeah. Pretty much, except for Ali Boggs, who couldn't be there, and Ivan Polinchik came on board.
Yep. He's also a little legend. He's not so little anymore. He's filled out a bit, hey?
Yeah.
Okay. He also does things like Big Better Ivan, right? So, hey, dude, I'm thinking about getting married. See him the next time he's engaged, see him the next time he's married.
And swum.
And done a whole bunch of, Okay. All right. So you arrive now. You're injury-free.
Yeah.
You still got Caitlin pictured on your dartboard, thinking if she can do it, I can do it. And the race, no, it's not a race. Do you consider it a race? Was time important? Or just getting to the end important?
Yeah, I was chasing Rebecca and Caitlin's times. It was on my mind. You have to have some motivation out there.
Okay, big bit of young. We appreciate the honesty. Okay.
And I hope they take it in the best possible way, because I look up to them. They were inspirational in what they've done.
It's motivation. Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So what was the strategy? There was one, right?
Was there? Strategy. Okay, first of all, I got my brother to do the weather. So last time I did the weather and picked it completely wrong because the pressure was on.
Yeah.
So had somebody else do the weather.
You were forcing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was forcing the swim.
Yep.
This time we did a lot better with the weather. We still got there the day before. It was a very busy day. We had to go pick up boats. I think I spent 7 hours driving the day before the swim. Just to get to Taupo, pick up my brother from the airport, pick up Ivan, pick up the boat, set up the boat. My crew only arrived at 10, 11 that night, the rest of the guys. We had a phone conference at, I think, 7 o'clock, where we just talked through everything that could go wrong or took responsibility for my safety, who would make calls on whether, along with the observer and the paramedic, who would make the call of whether I've had it or not.
Who had that call? Who had that responsibility?
So it was between Ivan, my paramedic, Craig, and one of my friends, Philip, because he knows me well. And they would make the call between them.
Because there's a story that's coming up that we're going to talk about. Just wanted to know who we're going to talk about.
Okay. So that day before the swim was tiring, but I think it was good in the end. I had a good night's sleep.
Keep yourself busy, not too much sitting around idling, thinking about what's going to happen. Okay. So you get to bed at like 11 and you're up the next day at like 3.
Just because I can't sleep in. No, but I did try and lie in bed. The guys told me, stay in bed, just do your thing. But that next day, it was very emotional. That was a very unique feeling. I think all of a sudden it just dawned on me what I was trying to do. If your family comes in the back of your head, why are you doing this? All these little questions pop up. I'm putting my friends through this again. They're taking time off work for me. They're putting their lives and their families on hold for me. So that if I was honest, there was a few tears, under my pillow that morning of the swim, while the guys were getting everything ready. Yeah.
And I suppose you've had a bit of a deja vu moment because you've been, what you're stepping into, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it was, around about that time, I was sitting at work looking at the tracker and I was like, what is he trying to do? Is he trying to break a 10-kilometer world record or what is going on? Tell him to slow down. Because you went up pretty quick, eh?
Yeah.
Well, by normal standards.
As I say, the previous time I attempted it, I swam pretty much flat out from the start because I felt I was so cold and I needed to generate heat.
Yes.
This time it actually felt easy, but maybe it was the adrenaline rushing through me.
Okay.
I also changed my technique and my stroke October, November last year after getting some shoulder pain. So I had sort of a stroke rate that was just constant. No glide, no rest in the stroke. So that might have...
Was that before or after? Before, that's how you got injured?
No. That was after I got injured and then I changed my stroke to this more continuous, shorter...
Okay.
stroke rate, stroke rate, faster stroke rate.
So more of an open water technique as opposed to a pool technique?
Yeah, more I'm thinking a triathlon type technique.
Yeah, because some of the, you see some of those videos out there. Some of the ocean swimmers have got a long glide and a real slow thing. So that works for them. It doesn't work for everyone.
That was me before.
Yeah.
But I kept getting a bit of shoulder issues and I changed it and the shoulder pain disappeared straight away. So I continued it. But that might have contributed to me heading off at a bit of a pace. And also that first, till it got dark was glassy. I've got videos there. It looks as if I'm swimming in the clouds. It actually mirror glass. Yeah.
So what time did you start on this one?
We started at 2:20.
In the afternoon.
In the afternoon, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Started 20 past 2 a little bit earlier, just because we knew there was wind heading our way late to the evening.
Yeah.
And so my brother also set us off on a more easterly course. So we headed towards the island a little bit, just to try and get some shelter for when the wind comes. And the wind did come sort of just after dark. We could see the storm clouds out on the eastern side, some heavy rain. Luckily, all the rain didn't hit us. A little bit of rain, but not much. But it did roughen up sort of until I think just after midnight. Kept things interesting, kept the boys' stomach muscles working for a while.
Yeah.
And you were a little bit warmer this time around?
Yeah, no.
Temperature was good?
So I can't remember a time I was cold during the swim, except for the end when things went a bit sideways.
Yeah.
But no, the water was a balmy 21 to, I believe some areas even 23 degrees.
Wow. Okay.
So no cold.
Nicely done.
And the air temperature was also nice.
No, it was much better.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first leg was pretty much kind of as anticipated.
Yeah, no, I had my little goals. So make it to nightfall, make it to Braxmere, and then from Braxmere make it to sunrise again. So I could break that part of the swim up. But from sunrise again the next day, trying to get back to Taupo, there was nothing.
Yeah.
No goal. There was nothing to gauge how far I was, because that island now to the right of me just doesn't move.
It doesn't move.
It doesn't move.
Yeah.
So that was when things started getting tough.
Yeah.
But I got out at the Braxmere side. I was happy. I was singing back into the water. It was complete reversal from the last time I got to Braxmere Lodge and got out of the water. I was happy as Larry. I felt great.
And then, the first chunk of the second leg, you were still feeling good. It's just kind of after sunrise, you're saying?
Yeah. Well, before we got to Braxmere, I must say, because this was very interesting. I had that sensation. I started getting that sensation where you drive and you start nodding off.
Oh, yeah?
I was doing that under the water. I would just swim, and as soon as I put my head in the water, I would just cut out, and then I'd breathe, and then go back head in the water, and then I'll cut out, and I'll breathe, and then I think at that stage I told the guys I need some caffeine now, so they started giving me some caffeinated stuff, and I think that got me pretty, sorted the problem when we got to Braxmere. But going back,
interesting, eh?
I didn't know you could. I don't know if you can fall asleep underwater. I don't think you can, but
you obviously were sort of just starting to, but then I would imagine your body realizes it can't breathe. It quickly wakes up again.
That must have been quite a strange sensation.
No, that was one of the things that stood out for me, because on an open water swim, I think your senses are so dulled, you don't take much, and I can't remember much of the swim. There's certain memorable moments within it, and that was one of them. Because I've never experienced that before. Yeah.
Oh.
Clever Dicks is New Zealand's largest swim-focused podcast, and our team at Swimskates is proud to be their official partner with all things swimming. Swimskates offers boat piloting and safety for solo marathon swims, as well as various packages including marathon relay swims, swim camps, and swim adventure holidays. Swimskates is also a facilitator of the Auckland Triple Crown, coming soon. Proudly brought to you by Swimskate.
Cool. So you said the wind was starting to come up sort of after nightfall. So you had to swim through a bit of chop down to Braxmere on the south, and then you turned and you started back. How was the weather on the way back?
I think it was pretty good. It was very slight chop. It was nothing like the night before or this previous swim. Just a little bit of chop all the way through. No, not an issue.
Not an issue. It's just not having obvious goals to sort of get to. It would be kind of cool if there was like a sort of every 2Ks there was a buoy or something you could swim at, because then you can kind of
judge where I was.
Kind of judge where you are, but that doesn't happen out in the open water.
No.
What were you thinking about while you swam?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Listen, I can sing a refrain of a song for hours on end, and that'll keep me going. So I was singing Pat Benatar's All Fired Up, just the refrain bit for hours.
Just the one song.
Yeah.
Just this is one.
Paul Simon, You Can Call Me Al, The Boxer. There's a couple of songs that I quite enjoy, and I can just
So
put
give us
that
that
on
Paul
repeat.
Simon. Give us that Paul Simon song.
No. Give me a glass of water so I can Google it for you. While I'm swimming, it's technique. It's these little songs. I enjoy watching the guys on the boat, so I actually gave them a whiteboard that they could put, things on there, words that meant something to me, and that would remind me of things to do.
Idiot.
Yeah.
What other words?
I'm going to have to get a whiteboard for some swim that I'm going to do with you, because that sounds like fun, actually. I'll be your motivator.
So what words were on the board?
So it was the songs. I had a whole list of songs that they can just
Jog your memory and get you
jog
thinking
me-
about something, yeah?
In the end, they actually didn't use much of the words that I had laminated for them, and they started making jokes at the wrong time when I was getting tired, and I didn't think it was very funny. I was very much regretting having that whiteboard and the markers on the boat at that stage. They thought they were very funny and they had a blast, but yeah, apparently I'm not so friendly when I'm getting tired.
And they're also tired, right? They're just trying to kill time as well.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, my brother, he said he had an hour's sleep. The other guys maybe had 4 or 5 hours sleep. So by this time they were getting tired and thinking they're funny as well.
And your feeds every 30 minutes?
Every 20 minutes.
Every 20 minutes? Cool.
Or the whole way through.
Or whole way through, like clockwork. We did 20-minute feeds, all liquid, because that's something we did wrong the last time. I tried to chew and swallow and swim and breathe all at the same time, and it doesn't work for me. I sink like a stone. So all liquid feeds.
So just being a liquid feed, it could be quite quick. You didn't sort of spend too much time on the feeds at all.
And that was another thing, because I spent so much time last time just standing still in the water, getting cold, trying to get feeds down. I had in my mind this time, I am swimming, I'm not stopping. Feeds are 20 seconds, that is it. And that worked really well up until, say, 60, 70, even 70 Ks.
Did they warm the drinks for you, especially at night?
Yeah.
No, another lesson learned?
Yes, we did have warm feeds last time, but just not enough. So this time, most of my feeds could be warmed. One of my secret feeds out there is bone broth. My dad made it for me last time. He wasn't available this time, so I had to make my own. But being me, big better Jan, I went and asked ChatGPT, what can I add in here to make me feel even warmer in the water? And it had garlic, it had chili peppers,
Ginger.
it had ginger, turmeric, but it didn't say the quantities. I chucked it in. Now, for me, it wasn't a problem. Apparently for Ivan, he had been seasick, a lot of the night. And finally, when he had done all his seasickness stuff and he got back on the inflatable, ready to feed me, he told Willem next to me, he said, no, I'm fine. I'm good now. Apparently, he opened that bone broth, and as soon as the whiff hit his nose, he was dry reaching over the side of him. But when you're cold and hungry, that stuff is beautiful. But yeah, so I had in my head that I was not going to stop this time. And so my feeds were all 20 minutes apart for 20 seconds. Maybe 30 seconds max.
I want that recipe so that the next time Ivan does a swim and I'm seconding him, I can give him some of that. Hey, remember this? Okay. So then you got to a point.
Yeah.
which I'm assuming was about 70 Ks,
Yeah.
where you... Do you want to talk us through it? I don't want to put words in everybody's mouth. You got to a point where things got interesting.
Yeah. From 20 Ks, I sort of started knowing I was in trouble, because that's the first time I asked them how far I was.
20 Ks to go.
20 Ks to go.
Yep.
Because I was getting up to that 20 Ks to go mark, and I was thinking, don't ask them how far it is. Don't ask them how far it's left. Don't ask them. Because I think you get in, that's a danger point.
Yeah.
And in the end, I asked them, and it was 20 Ks, and I knew, okay, I'm struggling. I didn't communicate this to them. In hindsight, I should have. We could have changed a few things. We got to 15 Ks, and then the guys started counting down for me. They thought they could see I was struggling a bit. They thought they're going to start counting down every K.
Some positive reinforcement.
Yeah.
On the whiteboard?
Yes, on the whiteboard. On the flipping whiteboard.
We need to buy a whiteboard.
So they start counting down. We get to 11K, and they think, okay, we're not going to do another update until we're in single digits. So they get to 9K, and they're going to give me an update. And I think, yes, that point is still looking a long way off. So I asked one of my friends, Stefan, on the land, hey, can you just work out on Google Maps or on Google Earth how far it is to go? It turns out they were out by 3K. So at 9, I actually still had 12, and that's when they said, no, maybe this is not a good idea, and they stopped.
So that's when they saw your sense of humor. Okay.
Yes. So no, they didn't tell me they were out by 3Ks, but I started struggling then, and they could see it. We got to 6.6 to go, and that was the last time I asked them how far. When they told me 6.6 to go, mentally I was with it. I looked, we were about at the point, looking back at the beach, and 6.6, I did the math. That's an hour and a half on a very good day in the ocean. On a bad day, 2 hours, this was way worse than my worst day.
2.5, 3 hours still to slog.
Yeah, and there's no way I can do this. I can't describe the feeling it was completely hitting the wall. There was nothing in my muscles. My arms would not carry me anymore. And that's when things started getting ugly and interesting.
But you stayed floating, right? You say your arms couldn't carry you. So you were...
I could keep myself up, yes.
Yeah.
And
so did you swim in like a Speedo brief or jammers or...
Speedos, yeah.
Like proper David Hasselhoff up? Red Speedos?
Yeah. A blue.
That's nice.
Listen, that's what in the 90s, that's what they wore. I didn't know about jammers and stuff like that. It feels uncomfortable to me.
Okay, I'm just trying to picture this starfish vibe happening in the water. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So you get to a point, you take your goggles off?
Yes. I think I did, yeah. I did, apparently. They told me afterwards.
Yeah.
And I started begging, I started pleading with them to take me out of the water.
Okay.
They say it was very much like working with a young child. They started off, motivating, reassuring me I was okay, you can do this. Mm-hmm. And then it sort of just started escalating, apparently.
You had a little temper tantrum as the kid in the water?
Oh, absolutely. There was a point I turned my back on them because the inflatable is now in front of me.
Yes.
And the big boat's behind me. And I turned my back on them and I'm screaming at the big boat, and Ivan's on the big boat. Yeah. I'm screaming, Ivan, I want out. I want out. And they sort of just ramped up the motivation from there.
So you ignored the little boat because they weren't listening to you?
Yes.
And you went straight to the big boat? Okay.
Yeah.
And they didn't listen to you either?
No. And they made a promise to me. This has been coming along 12 months, I think. Yeah. They made a promise that they will not put me back in the water, back in the boat, like last time. Okay. They made that promise to me. Also, in hindsight, I think that's one of the toughest things my crew has had to go through. Because they saw me, what I was going through, and we're good friends.
I've got goosebumps.
Yes.
Jesus.
And they wouldn't. At one stage, the inflatable boat's in front of me. It's got two handles. I'm looking at the handle and not at my friend and support person on the boat. And I know all that's going through my mind is, all I have to do is just touch the handle. That's all I have to do, and all this is over.
Yeah.
They'll take me out. I can't go anymore. All I have to do is touch the handle. Rudy, who's on the boat, he sees me doing this, and he holds the handle. I mean, that's going to do something. But he holds the handle, and he said, look at me in the eye. Look in the eye. You're doing this. And not such nice words. And he's screaming at me, top of his lungs. And he's a calm guy. He's a cool and collected guy, but he's screaming at the top of my lungs. And I turn and I face the other handle. And from then on, they kept the boat further away from me.
Put the boat in reverse.
but I must say, even though that went through my mind, I knew I wasn't going to ever grab the boat.
Yeah.
Maybe it's my South African upbringing. Yeah. I listen to things when I'm being told something, I listen to it.
Yes.
Or to the person, that sense of authority above me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So how did you manage to get your arms going again then?
Well, I didn't. They did. they because I didn't want to feed at that stage anymore. I wasn't taking anything on board. I just refused. And so screaming at me, and then they said 20 strokes. Just give me 20 strokes. And I would swim 20, try and swim 20, and I literally wouldn't go anywhere. And then I come up, and then they'll scream at me again, and they say 20 more, and I think I started getting to 25, and at this stage I'm thinking, this is all in his head. It's not a physical thing, but to me it was purely physical. So I was really trying to get going again, and this carried on I think it ended up being about an hour and a quarter, where they would just tell me, okay, 20 more strokes, and they'll take 50. And by this stage, I think halfway through, they started convincing me to feed again. So I started feeding, maybe at 30 minutes. I think I tried to swim. I swam a bit of breaststroke. That didn't work. Backstroke, they almost pulled me out of the water.
What did they feed you?
I think they started feeding me Coke. I think that some of my proper feeds, my UCAN, but apparently they started mixing Coke, but I wasn't realizing anymore what I was taking on board.
Yep.
The paramedic was also there on the boat, and they would just turn to him and just sort of say, is he okay?
Or maybe just sit the fuck down, right over there.
Yeah, and he would just sort of nicely talk them through what was going on with me, and he said he's fine.
Okay.
But
were they asking you questions that you had to answer?
Yes, no, so they were doing the questions to make sure my mind was still there.
And answering all of those.
Yes, doing little maths questions and things.
Can you remember answering the questions?
Not so much during that phase. I can remember all the other times, but maybe not so much then. But I know I was still with it. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
If I think about it, I could because I could do those calculations how far it was. I can remember crying. I can remember pleading. I could remember them shouting.
Had you taken like some Panadol or anything like that?
Yeah, so I was taking Panadol, I think every 6 hours, and some slow release ibuprofen every 10. Okay. So that was in the schedule. Okay. They were mixing electrolytes into my feeds. And I think in hindsight, that increased the volume of my liquid feeds. And maybe that had something to do with me stopping feeding properly with 20 Ks to go. So I was just feeling so full.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so an hour and a quarter passed. And then all of a sudden, it's very hard to explain it. It's just as if a switch was flicked. One moment I could only swim a few strokes. The next moment, I started swimming and I didn't stop again, except for feeding, and I got back to the shore. It was the most...
That's amazing.
From to going where I had nothing left. You can't explain it to somebody. It just that whole experience that I went through in that last 6 days made it all worthwhile. I went out there to push till I had nothing left, and I found that, and my team got me through it. I didn't get myself through it. I can't reiterate that enough. That it was those guys who got me through that swim. Otherwise, not be sitting here. Maybe I would be sitting here talking about how close I was to
About the next time, the next attempt.
the only guy to have tried it 3 times.
50, 70, and maybe next time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's amazing to have gone through that mental piece. Yeah, it's super impressive, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and having a team that kind of knew that you could carry on.
Yeah.
That you could carry on.
Yeah, and they were, because we're such good friends, they were as invested in this swim. Okay, it was the short period over the swim, because I had to do everything leading up to it. But in the swim itself, they were as invested as I was to get me across. And it's really, as they say, a band of brothers, stories to tell for a long time to come.
Exactly. Did you go back and look at all the notes on that People Who Swim Long group?
Yeah.
Because there was obviously that hour and 15 minutes of like no comms.
Yeah.
And we were all like, these guys are useless at just giving updates. We've got no updates. What's going on, guys? What's happening? And they obviously didn't want to say, hey, guys, like we've got a problem here,
Well, I don't think it wasn't that they wanted to say, but they were dealing with a lot at that stage. I was keeping them busy.
So how did it feel to touch land?
Yes. Again, that was the second most emotional time of my life on dry land. And you could see it in the guy's face around me as well. That grown men shedding a tear, embracing. It was an awesome experience. So, yeah. What can you say?
Yeah.
I crawled out. And yeah, I still don't understand what I did, I don't think.
It's mammoth, eh?
Yeah, you tell me, because it's go swim 24 hours. I said, no, I can't do that. 24 hours is a long time.
And it actually took you?
Took me?
28,
44. I was aiming for 27 and a half to beat the girls. Was it 27? Yeah, 27 and a half to beat the girls. And I was on track, girls, until I wasn't.
Well, all I'm going to say is that, dude, you've got to go back and beat 27 and a half.
Do you know any good waterfalls to have conversations?
Oh, we need to up it. Yeah, it's got to be a real... Yeah.
So how many people have done that swim?
I was the 5th.
Yeah.
I think... There was apparently one person who's tried it and not made it. Oh, 2 people, including myself, who's tried it and not made it. But yeah, 4. So I think
You're the second man.
Second man, yeah.
Yeah.
Phil Rush obviously being the first.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think Sandra blew it.
Yes.
And then Caitlin and Rebecca.
Yeah.
It's an amazing
So
swim.
we're still being whooped by the woman.
Yeah.
Well, I think that'll carry on. I can't see it changing.
Yeah, no.
Okay, if there's any men listening, super low IQ midlife crisis that wants to give this a go, we're looking for a volunteer.
Great summary.
Yeah. Jan can help. Jan will be on the boat.
Yeah.
Shit, dude, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Did you have what did you eat afterwards? Did you eat or did you just go straight to bed?
Sure. What did I eat? No, honestly can't remember what I ate.
Must have been hungry, surely.
Was I hungry? No, the guys just laid beer on my stomach while I was passed out on the beach. I must say, I look back at the videos as I came out. I looked a little bit worse. I now understand why my wife and my parents were so worried.
Didn't look so good?
I didn't look so good.
Was your wife on the beach?
Yeah, they drove through for the day.
Awesome.
And the kids were there as well.
Oh, that's...
So that was lovely because they couldn't do that last time either.
Yes.
Well, not just because I didn't make it, but yeah, they weren't there last time, so that was nice.
Do your kids speak Afrikaans at all?
A little bit.
So have you ever told them about that old movie in South Africa, Die Man van Staal?
Yeah.
That's their dad, dude.
Yeah.
Do you remember that movie as a kid?
Well, no.
Man van Staal.
I remember the name, but no.
That was like before Marvel, right? Die Man van Staal was like...
It was a TV
The Man of
show.
Steel.
Yeah. Man of Steel.
deal.
Yeah, I've got enough Afrikaans to do that.
Okay, so that's awesome. They were on the beach, yeah?
Yeah.
Obviously a bit concerned.
Yeah, no. Because I crawled out, I was covered in sand, and I do not like sand.
Yeah.
So when you watch the videos, you see me stumbling back into the water, and everyone's going, "What's Jan doing?"
That's number 3.
We don't have enough food for this.
So I stumble back in the water, get the sand off me, and then they get me out again, dress me, and I think I was lying on the beach maybe for 20 minutes, half an hour, just getting checked out. Everyone standing around me, making jokes about me.
This is late afternoon now, right?
Yeah, no, this is late afternoon. We are 7 o'clock, so I'm glad we started early because otherwise we would have been finishing in the dark.
Yeah.
So and then from there went home. Body was the muscles were sore. Yeah, that night it was sore. My wife didn't sleep a wink next to me because she said my breathing pattern was still like as if I was swimming. I was going.
Yeah. That's amazing, eh? That's amazing,
Yeah.
dude. She's like panicking
Every time I start breathing. I had to go to the toilet like 4 or 5 times, which is unusual. So I think my kidneys were working in overdrive.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the next day, I could move again. It was the week after that was interesting.
Yeah.
Muscles it was as everything had constricted. So I wasn't so sore anymore, but it was as if everything had constricted my core. I could even feel my diaphragm.
Yeah.
Right underneath my rib cage. Yeah. My resting heart rate kept going up for a week. So it's usually about 44, 48.
Yeah.
Went up by about a beat a day for 8 days to 56, and it stayed there for a while and before it started coming down. So that was all
recovery.
Yeah, that was interesting.
and shoulders and lats, lower back.
No, they
okay.
were okay. That actually felt reasonably good.
So good quick. For a triple, dude. Hey?
So
you didn't say no. Eh?
he didn't, because nobody's done a triple. Yeah. So how long before you felt well recovered? I mean,
thought you were going to say normal, dude. I was going to say, hey.
No, there's no normal here. No, but you could probably go for a bit of a swim after a little while. But how long until you actually felt that you were back to kind of just regular Jan?
Gas in the tank again.
Yeah.
I think 3 weeks. I think, what was it, last week? When was it? Maybe it's 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I think a couple of weeks ago I thought, man, I actually feel okay again.
You been for a swim?
Yeah, no, I've been swimming. Even last time, I knew I had to have a goal afterwards. I have to get back, even if it's running or swimming, I just need to get back. Otherwise,
doing something.
Doing something.
Yeah.
Just for the mind, mentally and everything. So I'm swimming. I'm actually trying to change my technique again.
Back to what it was.
Oh, yeah, sort of a combination of things. We'll see. Okay. See if it works first.
So are you just working on your swimming yourself, or are you going to coaches or?
No, I'm cheap.
You just go.
I watch videos.
Watch YouTube.
GPT.
Yeah, chat GPT.
Jan GPT.
No, so I mean, all my training, I don't swim with a squad. I show up at a pool near to where I work in the morning, and I go do my thing. If I'm lucky, there's a squad training next to me, and I use them as a bit of motivation to dice.
Yeah.
Well,
every now and then you swim next to our squad, and they grumble that you're going too fast.
If they weren't there, I would have gone much slower. It's their fault. Tell them.
Well, we should have got Lauren to come and join. Every now and then Lauren comes down, and then we'd have seen what happens.
I heard. Make sure I'm not there those days. Yeah.
Did you suffer a little bit of a couple of swimmers reference, a bit of an almost like an anticlimax, a bit of sort of PTSD type scenario after a mammoth goal like that?
No. not really, no. I think I was mentally prepared for that, and I know how to get myself out of that.
Yep.
Because I know I've been quite low a few times in my life, and it is hard after you do a big event just to get motivation the next thing. So having mentally prepared for the after effects, and knowing, okay, just go for a swim and everything will be okay. It was the same as getting into Taupo that morning or that afternoon when I started the swim. You know, all these things were building up. It was so emotional, all these doubts and questions. But I knew, just start swimming and everything will be okay.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit like that.
I can see a book in this, eh?
Yeah.
Start swimming and then sort of okay. Forward by die man van Staal. Okay.
So now you're all done. I suppose, have you thought about anything else that you'd like to do, or is that just on hold, or do you not want your wife to listen to this?
I think she knows me by now. 16 years of marriage, she knows me by now. There'll always be something, and yeah, the bug's still there. I mean, cook straight is probably the next logical choice, but that's the cold that worries me. I have to go get some tips from people. To work through that.
After you've done a 28-hour swim, it's not the distance; it would be other factors that you'd have to.
Yeah, and it's the challenge of doing it. It's I'm starting to see that other people just love open water swimming for the love of open water swimming.
Yes.
Where for me, I need something that pushes me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's just the midlife crisis rolling
distance
on.
Or a speed or a something.
Or the cold, or the next challenge.
We can help with that.
I'm afraid you're going to say that.
So there's us swimming champs coming up in July. And we're looking for low IQ midlife crisis men and women, by the way. I'm waiting for a yes, by the way. You just ignored that question.
Has crossed my mind. That has crossed my mind. Never say never. I've learned to say that as well. Never say never.
Hey, you again. Same scenario. You'll meet the most amazing people that just obviously align with whatever it is that's going on inside you. You'll find similarities. So the community is amazing, and somebody like you will push your barriers and your limits, and you'll again learn some more stuff about yourself, right? So I highly recommend it, and I would love to see you there one day, if not this year, down the line. But stick it on your radar, man.
Oh, thanks.
If you're scared of the cold, you got to go and meet the cold, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I need to move to Wellington, get some colder water.
Jeez, those guys are tough. Eh?
Yeah, they are tough. Eh?
Yeah. I see Duncan here he's clever. He gets all this stuff recorded for.
Send it to you on a message in like a year's time. Say, hey, remember this?
No, you're right. It's been incredible meeting all these people. I mean, my first swim, I don't know what Rebecca and Caitlin thought of me, because out of the blue, I ring Rebecca. She's never met me. I've never spoken, never even messaged. And I ring her and say, I'm going to swim Taupo double. Can you give me some tips? Same with Caitlin. Take her to coffee shop. I just need tips from a 17-year-old to get me across Taupo. Looking back, I probably looked a little bit weird. But anyway, that's me.
That's probably open water swimmers, right?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you now, both Caitlin and Rebecca more than likely did not think you were weird at all. That's probably quite normal for them, eh? Hey, Caitlin, I want to do something stupid. Can you help? Yeah. Let's have a coffee.
No.
Anything else from your side?
No, this has been a wonderful chat.
Jan, die man van Staal. Bigger, better, Jan. We obviously, as a New Zealand swimming community, are in awe of what you've done. And dude, high five. I've never had as many goosebumps listening to a story and watching your journey that day on the track up.
Oh, Thanks.
And yeah, man, you qualify as a clever dick. Your IQ is about right. And yeah, thanks for the chat and all the best for the journey ahead. And I'm assuming we'll chat again in a couple of years and have another catch up and hear some more stories from you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Yeah. It's nice to be able to share.
Yeah.
And it was awesome meeting you. I was a little bit getting to know you a bit better as well.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
We'll have some swims together.
Yeah.
We'll be way behind you, but we'll swim in the same piece of water, yeah?
We can all start at the same time.
Yes. Thanks, Jan.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, cheers.
Hi, my name is Caitlin O'Reilly. I'm the youngest person to have completed the Ocean 7 Challenge. If this really cool podcast has helped you learn something new, maybe it's introduced you to new swimmers, made you smile, then please take the opportunity to subscribe to Duncan and Jim's channel. I'm sure they would absolutely appreciate all your support. Cheers.
Thanks, Caitlin. Well, as always, you can give us feedback on our Instagram account @cleverdicks or send us an email cleverdicksnz@gmail.com. We'd really appreciate hearing from you. And cheers. We'll speak to you again soon.